Welcome to the EMBN show, the power station for everything electric mountain bike. And in a week where Specialized have taken the news with their new Turbo Evo, we turn our attention to Kona and Graham Agassiz with a new remote control.
Yeah, we've also seen a huge rise in the entries on e-bike racing, and we ask ourselves, is e-bike racing the new enduro? Another thing we'll be taking a look at on today's show, are e-bikes too heavy?
So, Graham Agassiz, Aggie as he's more commonly known. Chris, he's on a 150mm travel bike, 150 fork, 132mm rear. What do we know about Aggie? I know he's ridden in Rampage, he's got long hair, he's from British Columbia, right?
Yeah, he's one of those guys, always been in like the New World Disorder films, also, you know, big segments in those. Known as Big Mountain Freerider, as you say, competed in Rampage multiple times.
And hurt himself at Rampage.
Yeah, he's been hurt quite a lot, especially this season as well. A couple of big breaks and stuff.
Do you know, I see Aggie on this kind of remote control. Last week we talked about Sam Pilgrim. He won the Audi 9s. He was the, what was he? He was the rider of the...
Ruler of the week.
So Ruler of the week. And he rode his e-bike there.
Yeah.
Do you think, as a free rider, we're going to see the time where people are going to be riding e-bikes at Rampage because they're more stable, you can go further on them? Or will they be banned?
Might be, I don't know. It's just the thing is out there. If you come up short on the jumps, I don't know how like the e-bike would take those sort of beatings. You know, coming up short on big drops and things like that.
They're not going to come up short because they're heavy.
They're going to probably over jump. Yeah, true. But it's, I don't know. The only obviously advantage would be maybe to ride up like halfway back, but I don't know if they're any more nimble for those bigger hits. But it'd be interesting to see. As you say, you saw Sam Pilgrim throwing down on his, but I don't know, Rampage is a different kettle.
Do you know what? It's nice to see Aggie out enjoying the Kamloops Hills on that remote control. Talking about hills in North America, Hans Ray has just released Trans Angeles, which is a 5-day trip which he did with Rage Against the Machine bass guitarist Timmy C, and also with Missy Jove. I know Missy's been a multiple World Cup downhill champion back in the late 90s. She's quite a character, so I can imagine a 5-day trip with Missy going from Wilson Mountain on the east of the city across to an island just off Los Angeles. Looks like an incredible trip. So this is the first of a 5-part series which Hans has been doing. I'm
really excited to see the rest of that series. It does look really good from those first snippets that I've seen. It does look amazing videos.
It's like urban adventure, right?
Yeah.
You got all the elements, Chris.
Yeah. That does look amazing.
What would you do if you did a trip like that?
I don't know. I'd have to start off in England, I think. There's so many different cities and places. I think we've talked about a few ideas.
What's top of your list?
I don't know. Scotland, I think, because of just pure up there. Bristol on our doorstep. Yeah, there's loads of stuff.
Yeah, so this is the first of Hans's of series. So keep tuned in for future ones. Chris, it seems that the Surrey Hills in the southeast of England continues to be a hotbed of e-mountain biking.
Certainly is a hive of activity. I've seen on Instagram recently, Ollie Wilkins absolutely shredding his Focus.
Acting fast.
Yeah, got those loam tracks again, ready for winter. Him, Brendan, Berniker, all those guys sure going to be shredding that. But
Chris, from 20-somethings to 70-somethings, it seems like the Silver Machines, check them out on Instagram, they've been causing trouble again, especially with their latest love-hate video. They want to ride their bikes. They want to ride, they don't want to be told by the man. And really you should check it out. It is really quite funny. And we're coming down to see you guys in Surrey sometime soon. Moving on to some more racing news, Chris. Enduro 1 was on the weekend, right?
Yeah, Enduro Run was at the weekend. 400 entries to that. So that's more than an EWS, surely, isn't it?
It's close.
Getting close, isn't it? But it's massive numbers.
So do you think e-mountain bike races are overtaking EWS races?
It's getting there by the looks of it.
You know, and I think you'll find, on next week's show, we will be revealing more about the World e-bike series, which is launching in Monaco on Monday. But yeah, keep your eye on e-bike racing, and we're going to be taking part in some races ourselves in the not too distant future.
So it's time for feedback of the week. We launched a video last week about riding an Eco and all about it. So we had some nice feedback from that. Scott Wilson come to us with, I use Eco a hell of a lot. I find it's the closest feeling to riding a normal bike. Totally agree with Scott?
Do you know what? I kind of agree and I don't agree, because I think if you ride a normal bike, and I think actually e-bikes are normal bikes now, by the way, that's a different thing though. When you ride an Eco, there's a significant increase in your ability to climb on it. But
There's massive differences. I think when I get back on a normal bike now, just little strange, I've spent probably 20 years of my life riding a normal bike, but, last few years
only
riding
20
e-bikes.
years?
Yeah. But, that the whole pedaling to me seems a lot smoother on an e-bike. I got on my normal bike the other day and it just felt so weird and...
Chris, I'm going to put this out there, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm over riding non-e-bikes.
Really?
Well, I went out 4 hours yesterday. I was just wandering around the woods, just checking the new places and stuff. And, going through, those muddy climbs, pedals, really difficult route sections. Yeah. And I'd have been either walking or carrying my mountain bike, which I have done, which I have done for 30 years. And it's just, I can ride my bike all that time. So we're probably getting off subject a little bit here.
Don't know, I quite like it.
Yeah, maybe we'll revisit this on another occasion. But your ride in your 100k challenge, which is a 100k challenge, it was not if I can go on a range, right?
No, yeah. Basically, I got a bit of grief about that by riding it for some of it switched off, which when you think about it, even when I was riding that bike with the motor switched on, if I was above that 16 mile an hour, is that still classed as being switched off? It's just the motor isn't assisting. So to me, those miles that you were doing are still legit. It doesn't matter if they're turned off or above the limiter. You're still doing those miles.
Chris, I totally agree with you. Moving on to another Chris Roberts, who organiser of e-bike races in the UK. He also agrees. He says, I use eco most of the time, trail for longer or steeper climbs if I start to struggle, and turbo for really steep or technical climbs where it is difficult to maintain cadence.
Totally, yeah. Best way.
And this from Stefan de Graaf. I ride in eco as well. Just gives the option to ride a downhill bike as easy as a cross-country bike.
And I think that's a good way. I think the good thing about an e-bike, it replaces all those different bikes. Gone are the days where you need a cross-country bike, a downhill bike, a four-cross bike, a blah, blah, blah bike.
Were you telling me that one type of e-bike is enough?
Yeah, I think.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. 150mm e-bike will tick all those boxes.
Two big hitting statements on the EMBN show this week. I think we'll have to revisit these ones, Christopher. On In Depth this week, we're going to be talking about weight of e-bikes. Chris, your thoughts on the subject of weights. Are e-bikes too heavy? Are they too light?
Depends what you're doing on the day, I think. Like, for a downhilly sort of free-ridey bike, I would prefer a heavy bike because I feel that bike's way more planted, carries more speed, gives you more grip, suspension works better.
Jumps?
I just, jump in more stable platform, plows through the rocks and roots, just holds the line a hell of a lot better. But then I think if I was going out cross-country trail, sort of adventure-style riding, I would like that lighter bike. But obviously, because, you're lifting it around and you don't want to be so worn out pedaling that big heavy bike up and down the hill, lifting it over gates and things. So I'd prefer a lightweight bike, but with that bigger battery. But obviously those things...
I think that's an interesting point you say there. You look at modern-day World Cup downhill bikes. They're around about £32. Sorry about the imperial measurements there. And, Enduro World Series bikes, they're probably around £25, £26. There's actually not that much of a difference between a World Cup downhill bike and an EWS race bike.
Definitely, yeah.
But we're talking e-bikes here, so what weight are we thinking?
I like, as I say, one of my favourite sort of downhilly freeride bikes is obviously my Canevo, and that is, I think, 23, something like that?
That's 180mm travel.
Yeah, 180mm travel, so it's about 23 kilos, something like that. So it's
but then the high bike S-Duro is about the same way as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 180mm travel.
But then my Canyon is 20.5, is it 21, something like that. It's quite a bit lighter as well, so it's that difference in all those bikes. I try and pick which one.
And then, of course, you have the Specialized S-Works Levo, which is 19.5 kilos, which is a 150mm travel bike. I just want to bring in batteries into the equation. Now, here is a battery out of the new Turbo Levo. This is a 700 watt-hour battery. We just put the scales on this, and it's 3.84 kilos for that 700 watt-hour battery. At the same time, I've got a dinky little Shimano battery, 504 watt hours.
Yep.
So cute, isn't it?
Yeah, cool.
Look at it.
Lightweight.
You can check it in your back pocket almost, can you? If you chose a bag in it. So 2.57 kilos for a 504 watt hour battery. So pound for pound or kilo for kilo, you could carry two of those, get 1,000 watt hours for 5 kilos. So 5 kilos for 1,000 watt hours, 3.8 kilos for 700 watt hours. So it's about, it all balances up at the same,
definitely,
right? Yeah. But I actually spoke to Specialized Turbo Levo product manager Marco Sondreger, about the whole subject of e-bike weights and where it's going to actually go to in the future. So this is what we chatted about. Marco, the mountain bike industry loves the word optimum. Is 19.5 kilos the optimum weight?
It's getting to the optimum. I like it a lot. I mean, we came all the way from 23 kilograms all the way to 19.5, which is great. Loving it. It gives me less arm pump. My legs hold up longer, like just making me less tired.
And I love the grip on a heavier bike, right?
Well, I like grip too, but at one point it's too heavy, you know, so you cannot move it. You stick to a line instead of changing lines, and the lighter you get, the more nimble the ride becomes.
But that's not just the weight of the bike. That's lots of things like the volume of the tire, the suspension tune. Those things come into it as well, right?
Of course. But when you try back to back lighter versus heavier bikes, on a lighter bike you feel more nimble, more lightful, more active in a way.
Would you like to go after a different figure, you know, someone lighter again?
Of course. But that's I would say the most difficult part of the next generation bikes is. Do we need to make them lighter? First question to be answered, and how do we make them lighter?
So what's the answer to the first one? Do we need to make them lighter?
I think so, but it's not going to be easy. It will be quite difficult.
Yeah. What kind of number have you got in your mind then?
You know, my downhill bike back in the day when we pimped it all out, it was 16.5 kilograms.
Was this the demo, right?
That was the demo bike?
The asymmetric demo.
Yes, which was nice, you know, it was really nice. Coming from 20 kilogram downhill bikes to 16.5.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, it's not so long ago. I think it was when G. Atherton won the World Cup Series in 2010, his Commensal was 42 pounds. I don't know what that converts to in kilos, but that's the weight of this Levo. So
that's right, yeah.
That's not so long ago. So then you can get too light with some downhill bikes, right? When you get down to like 30 pounds,
I guess it depends on your riding style.
Yeah.
Some people like it light, some prefer a little weight.
Yeah. So you're saying 16 kilos then?
Yeah, but like I said, it's not easy.
How many years away is that?
5, maybe less. I hope less.
I guess the thing is, Marco, there's probably a handful, maybe, I don't know, 10, 20 pro riders that could actually get the most out of a super light bike, right? But that means being absolutely precise with your lines and being able to generate speed out of the ground, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, to be honest, like you said at the beginning, right? The bike people are crazy about weight. I'm crazy about weight, always been. Yeah. It makes the bike more efficient, lighter. You need less energy. To me, it makes a hell lot of sense. And I don't think you need to be pro to benefit from a lighter bike.
Right. Okay.
I think for everybody, just trying to bunny hop a couple routes and be light over rocks, it helps.
Yeah. But I was speaking to your colleague, Jan Talavasek, and he thinks 16 kilos, you don't want to go lighter than that because you get into that point between grip and a bike that's skipping around too much, right? That's where you're trying to balance it out. Is that correct?
Sort of. You know, I just like bikes which are playful, and with a lighter bike with in a fast rebound, you pop it and you fly, right? Yeah. And you see some routes and you pop it, fly straight over it, instead of just with a heavy bike you hold on to the handlebar, you just go. Yeah. Hope for the best, right? Yeah. Lighter bikes you point and shoot.
So it's style of riding, right?
I think so, yeah.
It's time to talk about tech. This week we're looking at batteries and extending the range on your e-bike. Chris, over to you on this subject.
Yeah, I've been checking out a little bit on social media. I've seen these big battery packs that basically are add-ons. It comes in different forms. You can get water bottle ones, which are slightly less watt hours, or the big cube ones that you can add nearly 1,000 watts to these specialised bikes. But
I've had this one in here from Italy, bit of tech from Italy. Yeah. Now this is a Samsung battery which has been added, and it's a custom-made. What do you call it? Cabinet? What do you call the cover? Which has been added to that bike, and that makes the range up to 1,000 watt hours.
Yeah,
right?
So you certainly get some big range on that battery.
But Chris, what's the dangers of doing something like this?
Dangers, obviously, you've got that exposed, not sort of factory fitted battery pack as well. So, and it's there if you get pierced as well. You know, if you crash and that hits a rock, that'd be another.
I'm thinking warranty. I'm thinking warranty on an e-bike. That's totally going to void your warranty. Yeah, if that's what you want,
if it's out of warranty, it's something I might consider. But definitely, I wouldn't be sticking that on a bike that was still,
But people want this range.
Exactly.
That's why Specialized have come out with these 700 watt hour batteries.
It's time for our Where in the World. What have you got this week, Steve?
On the plastic globe, we're in Portugal.
Portugal, one of the hottest places I've ever been to. I was there last month. Sweatfest.
All right for some, isn't it? This is from a good friend of ours, Carlos Bruno, and he's riding the Monsanto Trail near Lisbon in Portugal. He's shredding down this trail there, Chris, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a cool little edit. Yeah. Looks downhill trail does look a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, and do you know what we were talking about earlier? If he was not on an e-bike, would he be riding like that?
I don't think so, no. That flow and the speed of that guy as well, just shredding that trail.
Yeah, he's on his Cube Stereo Hybrid 160 SL 2018 version. Nice one, Carlos. Thanks for sending a video in. Looking forward to coming over to Portugal on a non-holiday trip sometime soon.
So it's time for Climb of the Week, and this week we've got 7-year-old Isaac smashing this climb out. He's got a Reset Bikes e-bike conversion kit added to a Santa Cruz, climbing up this EWS stage, 7 years old, and smashing this climb. Check him out.
This is in the Pyrenees, in Ensa in the Pyrenees, right?
Yeah, that's right. But look at him just going up there, 7 years old. Imagine having that sort of power available, you know, if you were 7-year-old. Imagine how many Welsh mountains you would have discovered.
Do you know what? I think we're going to see a lot more kids' e-bikes over the next few months. So keep tuned to EMBN for all the latest on that front. And finally, it's time for the bike vault. Chris, fire up.
I think we've got some beauties this week. What have we got here? So we've got the Utility Shuttle. Look at that.
In black.
Stealth black. Not really seen one in black as well.
Yeah.
So this is from Gary from Marin County, Bontempi Lake. After shredding the Rocky Ridge, this is what you're rewarded with. Look at that view.
That's a nice background, isn't it? California, Marin County.
And a nice
does it all.
bike.
Does it all. Super nice.
Super nice. Straight in. Look at this. We've got John Lewis here, Specialized Levo. Heidelberg Mountains above Somerset West, Cape Province, South Africa.
Crikey, we're going global tonight, aren't we?
We are, aren't we? Digging deep.
Yeah.
Look at the fantastic sunset over Table Mountain.
Super nice, every day of the week. Bang!
Straight in. Whoa,
what
action shot.
Earth. Is this you?
Yeah, it's not me. This is an action shot, but I like this. This is
crikey.
Good. So you've got Steve here on his high bike.
Yeah.
Nashville, Tennessee. Photo shoot for Swift Sock Socks.
So what's this? High bike 10.5 factory German edition, location Nashville.
And this guy's old.
Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. 53 years old.
Well, the guy in the air or the guy on the ground?
No, the guy in the air.
I'm going to leave this over to you.
I think that's pretty good. Some nice shape there, good style.
Chris, get to the point. Nice and super nice.
Loving it. Super nice.
Right.
So what we got next? Whoa, bulls. We don't see
Bulls
too many
bike.
of those.
Nice.
So yeah, we're in Moab, Utah. A few e-bike friendly trails in Moab.
I spent a bit of time on that rock mine, Chris. It's a beautiful location, that is. Absolutely great location.
Do you like that as well?
Yeah,
it's nice. And the bike's looking good.
Intrepid Bike Trail at Dead Horse Point. Dead Horse Point. Super nice.
Super nice. Whoa. We've got a bit of a mixture coming on here. Look at this.
You need to do a bit of work in the background. A nice oak tree.
But look at the parts. We've got a lefty fork.
Chris, can you go through the description, please?
Lefty fork. Sorry, this is from Alan. Planet X carbon frame mounted with SRAM 1x10
Panasonic battery.
Panasonic battery. Built with his own hardtail. Cannondale lefty fork. Cane Creek Thudbuster saddle.
I tell you what, you're gonna give him points for effort, right?
Yeah, Planet X Dirty Harry carbon frame and a Bafang 500 watt motor on it. Been riding this thing pretty hard, no problems. It's just a fun ride.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence, Chris. I'm on the fence.
I like it. Total weight £42.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. Next. I'm gonna give it a nice.
Gonna give it a nice.
Wow. I know it's tight.
So we've got Tim here. He sent in his
Montana.
Yeah,
Glacier Lake, Montana. I want to go there.
Just a good gravel climb of about 2,500 feet over 8 miles to the lake.
I want to go there, Tim. I want to go there. Like thinking? The colour of that Levo. Very nice. Very nice.
Nice.
Could be Australia, right? Portugal, Algarve, crikey, they're all around the world today, aren't they?
They are.
Is that Canevo or is that Levo?
Canevo.
Right.
40k ride, very steep hills, now finally possible on the e-bike. Fun uphill, fun downhill. Couldn't agree more.
Look at the colour of that water.
I did a big cruise around here recently in a boat.
I don't care.
Portugal.
What about the bike?
It's a little bit underexposed. Nice. Whoa, what we got here?
That's a BH, right?
Atom X-Link 6.
Yeah, location Cerro Blanco near Ecuador. Wow.
69 and still riding the trails. Very steep and technical.
Do you know what? I've not seen one of those bikes on EMBN Vault. For
I
me,
like it.
It's going to be super nice.
I like that. Super nice as well.
69 Throwing them away tonight.
Ooh. High bike.
In a puddle of water.
Kevin sent this in. High bike, full enduro 7.8.
Santa Clarita. That's the second week running we've had e-bikes from Santa Clarita.
Must be a big scene down there. and it's not salt water before everyone chimes in saying, what are you doing?
Did he just say that?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's called Castaic Lake Recreation Area.
I do like it.
This looks like it's nice. Next. Ooh.
So we've got
Ghost.
Florianton and his Ghost Hybrid 5.7 near the Finns Elms in the
Bavaria. Oh my God, this is like, can't believe the countries that e-bikes have got to tonight.
He says he's been mountain biking since the 80s, still have his first real MTB, a 92 Marin Fire Trail with Answer Manitou forks. But this Ghost is just the best bike he has ever had.
Your call.
I'm calling that a super nice as well. Bike's nice, drop top's nice, everything's nice and that. So we've got here.
Sorry, it's got to be landscape for the bike vault. Is that Focus?
No, a Mondraker.
Sorry, Mondraker.
Yeah, eCraft EXR from Stuart, Tullamore Forest Park, Newcastle, Northern Ireland. Exploring the hills.
Do you know what? If you'd had that landscape and given a bit of width to it, I reckon that would have been a super nice.
But just
Next.
Nice. Moving on, a trio of e-bikes.
Trio of e-bikes. Oh, have I seen these e-bikes before?
Dunno.
Where is this?
Matthias in Hammelburg, Germany.
Right.
Started e-biking together, my wife, a younger brother and me, so we brought the same bikes to share the same tech and setup tips. It's quite a good idea.
It's a great idea. I think I need to see more space between the bikes. I want to see all the bikes there. It's virgin on a super nice.
Just a nice. And that's it, we're out of the bike vault.
Bike vault. What a great bike vault. Global
Really
bike vault.
Remember, keep sending those in.
Cosmopolitan bike vault.
Keep sending them in via our upload service. All the details are in the description below.
Josh, can you stop texting, please?
Love seeing your e-bikes. Just keep sending them in and we will get them on the show. Got a bit of a backlog going on, but they are going to be coming.
So what have we got coming up on the channel this week? Well, this week is a big, big week. We are going to be taking things to the next level on
Definitely
EMBN.
Oh my God! Is it doable?
I'm genuinely in it.
I'm a bit scared actually.
Has anyone actually been up here on a bike before?
Go on, Chris!
This is it. This is a world first.
That's coming up this Sunday on the EMBN channel. So until then, there's behind the scenes on the Specialized Levo, the kind of the birth of an e-bike, which is on the channel right now.
Yeah, really hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give us a like, drop us any comments in the box below, and just make sure you subscribe to the channel for more awesome e-bike content.
But whatever you do, don't forget Sunday.